It's 5:05, so
Okay, great.
5:05, so let us get started.
Welcome
Let me
home.
start by introducing myself. My name's Judy Flattery. I'm in Santa Barbara, California, and we are just so happy, so thrilled to have you all here today. Once a month, on the second Monday of the month, we have a guest speaker. And who are we? For those of you who have never connected with us before, we're an online community of people, a community of people who stands for all people being treated with dignity, being treated with respect, being treated with compassion. And our particular interests are those people who are incarcerated and working towards their release, who are previously incarcerated, and all the people, their families who are connected, the families, people who work with them, people who are just curious about having a system which is more workable. And so some of us on our team are previously incarcerated, some are not, some have had family members incarcerated, some haven't, some, like me, is just someone who was previously oblivious and then got connected to all this, the work and the efforts and all the efforts that people are making, the changes that are happening, the things we're standing for. And it's just great to connect people and organizations and, regenerate ourselves because, yeah, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference. But today, what I'd like to do is just have Tracy, who invited our speaker here, introduce the speaker. And then after we hear from our speaker, there'll be time for us to ask questions. And at that time, maybe individually, if you have a question, you can introduce yourself, give a little background so that we can all get to know one another. So with that, Tracy,
Great. Thank
please
you.
introduce our speaker. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I am so thrilled to have Anthony here. I've only seen Anthony once in the flesh, and it was over a year ago. We met at a holiday party for Amity Foundation back in December 2023. And when I saw Amity, I'm sorry, Anthony, um, there was something about him. He just struck me as this person that I wanted to get to know. I went up to him and I was like, "Who are you?" And he said, "I work for the DOJ." And I was like, "Well, that is so cool. That's really cool." And I didn't know anything about his background.
What is
Um,
the DOJ?
Department of Justice. Thank you, Neil. I think most people know what that means, but for those that don't. So I later read Anthony's story and I was really blown away. Anthony was incarcerated at 16 years old. And correct me, when it's your time, Anthony, anything that I say that's wrong, please correct me. Um, and he was sentenced to 102 years to life. During his imprisonment, he got his high school diploma, and it made him feel better about himself. And then later, he learned about the trauma that he experienced during his childhood, and he began to participate in self-help groups, and that furthered his self-esteem. In 2012, he was transferred to San Quentin, which I think a lot of us are familiar with the great programs at San Quentin. And that same year, Governor Jerry Brown signed SB 9, which is the Fair Sentencing for Youth Act, which gives individuals who are incarcerated younger than 18 years of age the chance to earn parole. And I believe it's after serving at least 25 years. Anthony's sentence was commuted to 19 years by SB 9, and he went before the Board of Prisons, but he was denied the first time, denied for parole. The second time, however, he was granted parole, and I'm so, so thrilled. And I'm going to let Anthony tell the rest of his story.
Cool.
Oh,
All right.
wait, one thing. I want to just share this photo of when I met Anthony. Just That's Judge Mitchell, Judge Craig Mitchell on the right, the founder of the Skid Row Running Club, criminal court judge. Anthony on the left, and of course, me in the middle. All right, take it away, Anthony.
How everybody's doing. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It is a pleasure for me to speak always and not only tell my story, but give voice to those that are amplify the voice that are those inside that because I'm not an anomaly. There's nothing special about me. There's a lot of guys that are inside that should be out today that's done way more work than I've done. I'll kind of start with my childhood of what led me up to prison to being convicted of the crime that I've committed and then talk about my prison and then aftermath. So I grew up in a household that was very unstable, very chaotic. I grew up in a gang household to where my mother was a Crip, my dad was a Blood. By the time I was 8 years old, I was molested by one of my mother's friends because my mother was a drug addict. Um, she could not be there for me emotionally due to her own trauma that she didn't know how to deal with, and my father was not there for me physically. By the age of 9, 10 years old, I was already fighting in school. I had already numbed the pain of being molested because I felt less than. I had already started to feel unworthy, not even knowing what worthiness was and what self-worth was. So I didn't have the 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 knowledge to understand who I was as a person, nor anyone teaching me who I was. School was a safe haven, but only for sports for me. I was very good athletically. I can play any sports you can think of, all sports, but I excelled at basketball. Um, by the time I was in the ninth grade, I was already scouted by a lot of players, by a lot of colleges to play sports. However, I did not know how to get to college. What I did know how to do, I knew how to fight. I knew how to be angry. I knew how to be violent. Um, and backtracking a little bit, by the age of 11, I also started going outside because inside the home, I did not feel self-worth. I did not feel loved. I did not feel seen. So once I started getting the simple things as hugs from people I knew on the street, which was gang members, that made me feel loved and appreciated. So at the same time, by the ages of 11, I joined a gang. By the ages of 12, I was already carrying a weapon and I was already selling drugs because I thought that that would not only get my dad home, but I thought that that would get my mom to see me. Um, Fast forward as I get to the age of 16, March 31st, 2001, um, we were, me and a couple of friends were driving down the street, Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, seeing a cherry red Caprice pull up on our side. And I like to tell the details because details are important. Um, Seeing a cherry red Caprice pull up on our right side and me wanting to be known as a Blood, I'm like, oh, I can acknowledge them as Bloods and be seen and be recognized and be heard. I yelled out the car, "What's up, Blood?" They in turn did not respond. So that, not knowing that at the time, but due to the work I've done, when he ignored me, that felt like my mom ignored me. That felt like my dad not seeing me. That felt like this world not caring about me going to school with dirty socks and going to school not feeling good about myself. And I yelled out the car, "What's up, Blood?" again, and he ignored me again. The difference between them and my mom is, and my family ignoring me and not seeing me, is I had a weapon to make sure that they heard me. And so at that moment, I made the decision to shoot into their car. And I murdered an innocent human being who did not deserve to die. I attempted to kill his wife and his brother-in-law because I felt that they were objects to me, not only in the movement of status in my gang, but at the same time in the movement of being seen and not being ignored because you can't ignore me because this weapon is going to make you talk to me. It's going to make you see me because that weapon was power in my hand. After I was sentenced and convicted, I thought to myself, like, I earned it, the 102 years to life, so I wore it with a badge of honor. I wore like, oh, I'm tough now. I'm tougher because I got this sentence. But once I got to prison, when did I get to prison? December 3rd, 2002. The only thing I really wanted, even though I felt that I earned it, was a hug from my mom. Was that this was a big old dream. This was a nightmare. But at the same time, I was caught in between two mindsets of wanting this hug from my mom at the same time wearing this badge of honor that I'm this hardcore gang member. And I didn't even know who the heck I was. So when I got to the prison yard, I acted accordingly. I played my part being a gang member, fought in prison, carried weapons in prison because that's what I knew how to do. I knew how to be a good foot soldier. With that, something internally was telling me you can get your high school diploma. And I can't even to this day tell you what it was. So I went to the teacher at the school, was like, hey, I want to get my high school diploma. They was like, you can get your GED. And to be honest, it was like, not smart enough to get my GED. I did not feel smart. I did not feel intelligent. Because I was not at good at school at all. I did not excel at reading books, but I could not admit that emotionally to myself nor to other people. So I just needed to get my high school diploma. And lo and behold, after 3 attempts at getting my high school diploma, a teacher was like, oh, I can get your transcripts in CSP Sacramento. And with your transcripts, we can see how many credits you need in order to get your high school diploma. But most likely, you don't have enough credits. Lo and behold, I had more than enough credits to get my high school diploma. I just needed a couple classes. And I'll never forget, it was driver's ed, which of course in prison you're not driving anything, right? It was fine arts and it was economics and social science. So with that, I proceeded to just work in the cell. And I made a decision that no matter what, I'm going to get my high school diploma, not realizing what journey that would take me down, but I knew that that high school diploma would not only be an accomplishment for me, but most importantly, it got me a job in prison because I didn't want to depend on my parents and my family for anything. So with that job in prison, I don't have to write, I don't have to call, I can just be. And after I got my high school diploma, this small feeling inside of my body was just like, whoa, what is this? And I started to search for it. And I asked an older guy on the yard, what is this feeling? He said, you don't know what that is? I said, yeah, self-esteem. He said, I'm willing to bet you it's not. He said, I'm willing to bet you it's something way more important than self-esteem. And he said, maybe try self-worth. I said, they're the same thing. He said, really? He said, again, I'm willing to bet you it's not. So with me learning about self-worth and understanding that I put from the time I was a youth and all the trauma I've seen and suffered, I put myself in what everyone else thought about me instead of internalizing and putting it in myself because self-worth is an internal thing. And with learning self-worth, I had to learn how to add it to myself and how to know what it means for me. So I started to do that. And slowly but surely, I started to walk away from the game because I realized that my values were different than what the gang value was. I started to discover who I was, that I like to laugh, that I don't have to be serious. Most importantly, that I am a human being, but most importantly, that my victim was a human being. Because for a long time, I put my victim in this category of an object because it's easier to hurt objects because you have no emotional attachment to them. You can just move an object out the way without caring. But a human being, you can't. So once I went on that journey of self-discovery, it was tough because a lot of stuff I had to unravel that I didn't want to agree with, like being molested at 8. That didn't come until I heard another man speak about that had happened to him while I was in class. And I searched myself like, no, that didn't happen to me. That never happened to me. But then I sat there and said it happened, and it wasn't and it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
and me accepting that I can forgive the person that harmed me without even seeing them ever in my life again, meaning I'm making a choice to move forward in my life. Not accepting that it's right, but accepting that I don't have to live in it anymore. That started to journey to me accepting myself as a victim, and that's okay. And then the most important discovery for me was honoring the person I've harmed. And as I sat there and honored, and I don't want to say his name because I don't want to disrespect his family or anything, but as I sat there to honor them as a whole, not only did I a little bit feel good about myself, but I start to walk with them and I start to honor them in ways that better the community. Because everything, all the harm that I've done taught me that I need to be a good community member. So when that happened, I was able to petition a governor after some years of in prison playing. I was a good basketball player, so I played basketball. If you guys ever watched the documentary Cue Ball that was produced in San Quentin, I was one of the people on there. And that opened up the door for Governor Brown to commute my sentence in 2018, November 28th. And after that, 2 years later, after being denied parole the first time, I was able to be found suitable for parole on December 17th, 2020. And I was released April 21st, 2021. Upon release, it was a struggle. I tell people that I went in at 16 and I paroled at 16, except I understood the consequences of my actions. I understood I didn't want to harm people. I understood that I wanted to be a community member, but I didn't know what that took. So I needed good people in my life that helped me make the decision and people in my life that were positive. So I made a decision to create a network for myself to where I paroled to Oakland rather than LA, which is my home base. And as I paroled to Oakland, I had a lot of good community members. One of them was on this call, Jonathan Chu, who I value a lot and has been my friend ever since we were two cells down from each other in San Quentin. Um, I- Once I got out, he was the first person to tell me, "Oh, don't work for a couple months." And I'm like, "Why? I need a job. I need to make money." He's like, "No, you don't." He's like, "You need to figure out who you are out here." And that was some of the most positive advice that I've ever received because everybody that get out of prison wants to immediately work, but you don't even know the area you live in, but yet you want to work. You don't live, you work. And with him giving me that advice, that helped me to just be and figure out who I wanted to be. And that opened the door for me to meet some good people. I was able to meet Assembly Member Mia Bonta before she was Assembly Member. And she liked my story and appreciated me and wanted to elevate me and help me grow. So she hired me 3 months, 4 months out of prison and gave me a job. And then sadly, after that, about a year or so after that, I was hit by a stray bullet walking in Oakland, in the right hip. And I said, you know what? I can take my punk butt back home because I'm a mama's boy. Take my punk butt back home and go be with my mom. And that made a huge difference in my life. And Assembly Member Bonta was like, okay, where do you want to work? What do you want to do? I was just like, I'd love to be the first convicted murderer to work inside of the Attorney General's office. So she said, okay, get your resume together. We'll look for the application and we'll put in the application. We'll get you an interview. And she worked tirelessly to help me get me an interview. And that made a huge difference in my career. And today I am a special projects coordinator in the community engagement unit inside the Attorney General's office. So yeah, that's my story in a nutshell.
Wow. That's amazing. So I have a question. So did you ever get that hug from your mom?
Yes. On the
So
first day
what was
that
that like, the first hug from your mom?
it was reassuring.
Mm.
It was, it let me know that I was her son. It let me know that she did see me. She was just caught up in her own addiction, in her own lifestyle, in her own trauma that was unhealed and she could not deal with it at the time.
Mm. Great. Anybody else have any questions? Any questions for Anthony? Just
Why don't
thank
you
you so
raise your
much for sharing
electronic?
your story.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Why don't you raise your electronic hands? If you don't know how, you could raise your physical hand. Um,
All right, Kent.
Anthony, it's a really moving story. And having been incarcerated for almost 4 years at Terminal Island, I and I know I was at the best of the best. I can't imagine what it, and I was in my mid 60s, so I can't imagine what it's like to be at 16. But my main concern is for the families. What do you see is possible that we can do as a society to support the families of the incarcerated? Because it really puts a big, in many cases, it puts a big strain on the families. Because, you know, I was blessed that my wife had a community that could support her, but even so, she suffered. And not being able to do anything for her, you know what it's like to be inside and you can't do anything. What is it? What can we create that can support the uh, family members that will actually give those who are incarcerated some peace of mind?
Um, think groups like this help. I would also offer that support and help is two different things. They are synonymous to each other, but they are two different things. When you say what can we do to support the families, for me, it's what does the family need support in? So doesn't come from us. It comes from us posing the question to say, how can I support you? So that comes from whatever the family needs. Because if we say, what can we do to support the families? It's putting what we think we want on the families instead of
Mhm.
what the families actually need from us.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Neil, you have a question?
yeah. So I'm curious what you took advantage of inside, and I'd like to know the different names of the prisons. I don't know how many times you were transferred inside California system, but what were the programs that were the most effective? And a question around that also, if you didn't have those programs, do you think you still would have, I'll call it changed?
I transferred 3 times. I stayed 8 years at CSP Sacramento, which was a level 4. And then I was sent to CMC East. And then I was kicked out of there for selling phones and the whole thing and sent to San Quentin State Prison. Um, I, um, I would make a comment that programs are great. It's the volunteers that make the difference. Support and show you value of who you are and who you can be because of their caring, taking time out of their day. For me, to sit there and say, I see you, I hear you, I appreciate you. And that helps me to feel like a human being. Um, to name some programs, one of them was restorative justice at San Quentin. All of my programs that I've ever taken was at San Quentin. It was restorative justice at San Quentin. One that I talk about a lot is Kit Kat, which is kids creating awareness together. It was the first group that was created in the state of California that were for and by juvenile lifers because of the uniqueness of it, the fact that I've never learned how to shave, but I had to swallow my pride to go up to another grown man who wasn't my father to say, "Hey, can you show me how to shave?" So the uniqueness that juvenile lifers that group brought to me was huge in helping me develop security within oneself. Even though today, as a grown man, I still feel insecure, but what they taught me was huge. Vogue was a really good one. Victims Offenders Education, GRIP was a really good class for me as well. Houses of Healing was powerful in creating a dynamic for me that I got to a point in the book. It says you can forgive, you don't have to forgive your parents for what they've done, but you can forgive their unskillfulness.
Mm.
And with me learning that, that goes into a point to where my dad has been in and out of the incarceral system since he was 11 years old, up until he was 47. And one day he decided he wanted to come see me. I was very against that because I did not want to see him, nor did I believe that he would bring any value to my life. However, upon reading that book, I realized that I still needed my dad. And with me being angry, I asked my brother, "Hey, come with him because I don't know how I'm gonna react." And I will say, when I saw him in that visiting room and I hugged him, that was one of the first moments in my life that I felt like a son to him. And that hug meant the world to me. So those are some of the things that helped transform my life, some of the groups.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mm. Do we have any other hands up? Neil, oh, Jaime, you have a question?
Yes. Anthony, it's not so much as a question as much as I would like to um, say that I could relate with 2 points that you made. Um, Me being incarcerated in away from society for 10 years. Um, I know whenever you was mentioning the part about getting your GED, getting this feeling, not knowing what it is, and the older man telling you, why don't you try self-worth? And I totally relate to that. Being in there, being incarcerated, and getting my associate's degree while I'm incarcerated, getting vocational trades, and just seeing like the momentum. Once you get one, you want to get another one, and you get one credit, you want another credit, and man, you ready for the next semester to start because man, I've been looking forward to taking economics because I want to learn about economics and macro economics and things of that nature. So I totally relate with that. Also, another point that you made, which I think is very important, you said you were incarcerated at 16 and you were released at 16. Although there was a 20-year gap, that is that's a great point. I think a lot of people, when they, I know when I was incarcerated, I was 25, I was released at 36. And it's I was 25 when I came home. Like I still thought like that. I still acted like I still expected to things to be
Mhm.
when I left. And that was two great points which I was able to relate to. And yeah, thank you for telling your story. It's very inspirational, very moving. And I'm just glad to be here and meet you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jaime. Anthony, I've heard it said about programs inside that it may make less of a difference, particularly what they're teaching or what you're learning, and what makes more of a difference is who you're hanging out with. Do you find that to be true, that you're with a different group of people who have a focus on a different, who have hope perhaps, or focus on a different future?
Yeah, and I would say it's also the choice you make of who you hang out with because you have a choice. I started to learn that everything I'm going to do in there, if I ever get the opportunity to get out, I need to develop the good habits so that I can do them out here. Um, One thing I can say is I do believe volunteers help change lives. And I say that because in the basketball program, and I always tell this story because it's important, this guy named Tejas Gallus, he is uh I would say top five finance person at Apple. And he came in every Saturday and one Friday he found out his sister had stage 3 cancer. But yet he has the means to fly to go see his sister. But yet he chose to come in and play basketball and see us. And he said that day that I knew that you guys would make me feel seen and heard. But I took that differently. I took that he cares for us that much that he wanted to see us, then fly out to see his sister. He valued us that much. So with that, you internalize that now, if this human being coming from outside can do that for me, can I treat myself like this? And if I can treat myself like this and care for myself like this, what more can I do for the next human being? So it's a ripple effect of him treating us and seeing us and valuing us. Now I do it to myself and then I do it to others and hoping that others do it to others and then it spreads out.
Well said. Thank you. I can relate to that. Uh, let's see. Anthony Covert, you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to say it's an honor to be here. First off, it's my first one being able to attend one of these. And man, hearing your story, Anthony, it's pretty dope, man, to know when you're inside, myself, you know what I'm saying, is recently liberated and back out in the community over 7 months ago. And so I can feel the things that you're saying because it's so important and it's so impactful that when we're thinking about our families, when we're thinking about the things that we have to do inside, there's a whole nother society of things that are going on in there. And I know for me, it was a struggle because there's a community inside of a community that people don't really get to experience unless you're there, right?
Yeah.
And I know for me, I had all these distractions and stuff that in order for me to get through my time. And I'm just curious, like, how was it for you getting through your time? Because, there's all these distractions inside just as much as there are out here.
Say that again. I want to process that a little bit.
So, what were some ways that you was able to cope with getting past the distractions inside? Because we have all these distractions out here, and that's how we prepared to get out here. And so, I guess what I'm trying to learn from you is, as being currently a newly releasee, right? Is how were you able to navigate that in there, and how did that translate to you out here in the community?
First of all, welcome home.
Thank you.
I didn't navigate it well. I sold phones, I sold drugs. I did everything you can think of in there. What changed my perspective um, was the people that came in, and I don't ever want to give the entity of prison credit ever. I always want to give the human beings that gave their time credit. And that did it for me. And one thing I'll say that really helped shaped my perspective. I have a nephew. He's a senior at Cal right now playing football. He's a starting wide receiver. When he was in the 11th grade, I had a phone call with him and he asked me, am I ever going to come see him play football in person? Um, that did something to me too, to where it's not, oh, I'm getting out in 2103. It's not only how can I get out for him, but how can I do the right thing in my community where I'm at in prison? Because that's where it starts. It doesn't start like when we get out, we want to do the right thing. It starts, we have to do the right thing inside too.
Mhm.
So I started the journey of who am I hanging around? Who am I seeing that is doing the right thing? Who can I ask for help and who can I learn from? And as I started to hang around those men and seeing some of the women and how they hang around as far as the women coming into the prison teaching us, I realized that's what I wanted my circle to be outside. And I can tell you now, and it's been almost 4 years since I've been out, I don't associate with 90% of my family because I love you, but we're in two different spaces. And that's okay because I have to focus on me. Like Jonathan Chu right here literally is one of my best friends. Literally. And I will call him and hang out with him before I hang out with probably, again, 90% of my family. Because I know he's not going to put me in a predicament that's going to put me nor him in harm's way. And that's how I base it off of. I do tell myself a story about what people say. I'm not going to sit here and say I don't, but it's more about what my actions and where my actions are going to lead me, and who I'm hanging around. I think, and I don't know if that fully answers your question because it is a struggle, but that's how I operate.
No, it definitely answers my question, because I too had to like navigate and change the trajectory of the people that I wanted to be around inside, right? And then, but coming outside, sometimes people gravitate towards an energy,
Hmm.
right? Even if you don't mean to give off this energy, people still gravitate because of the way you look. I'm a pretty big guy, so people assume, man, you probably did prison time, or I got all these tattoos, and so it's like you gravitate things you don't want. And so I guess it's different trying to navigate it out here because you never know when you're going to encounter it. Where inside, you know exactly who you're dealing with, so you're able to take that left when they on the path,
Hmm.
And so that does help me out a lot.
Yeah, and honestly too, like if they gravitate towards you, that means I was having a conversation with someone this Friday. And I think he's like 45, and I was the first convicted person he's ever saw. So how do I want to represent? How do I want him to see me? Not only how do I want him to see me, how do I want him to have a conversation with others that he meets that might be incarcerated? Right? Because I'm the first, I might not be the last. So I don't want him to discriminate against the next. I want him to be open-hearted. So let's have that awkward conversation. You know what I mean? About how they think. And this is where I am, that I'm not an anomaly. Right? I'm no different than anybody else. I'm a human being just like you. I just made a bad decision in my life. So how can we have that conversation? And that way that furthers his education and his learning. And if he wants to attach to me, hey, bro, I'm all positive. And if you're not on that positive, we can connect from a distance, but I can't help you because I have to make a decision to set boundaries for myself in order to protect my peace at all costs.
Can you say a little more about what you do at the Department of Justice?
So what we do, the Attorney General about 3 or 4 years ago decided that in the state of California, no one knows what the heck the Department of Justice does. Like it's this entity, it's this system, but the community actually don't know what we do. And with that, he decided to create a unit, a community engagement awareness unit, to where we reach out to CBOs, community-based organizations, to make the DOJ more accessible. So we put on events like we just had an immigration rights roundtable, so the community can know what the Attorney General is doing about immigration and where he stands on immigration and what lawsuits he's going to file if the administration from the presidency wants to do things that are contrary to California values. So we make sure to keep the community informed, but not only that, we make sure to stay connected, say, hey, we're here. You have a direct line to the AG, and we had a community rights conversation 2 weeks ago, and he made a statement. He said, I don't want to go against the president. He said, but if I get punched, I want to punch back. He said, so I'm going to defend the community of California at all costs. I think next week we have we call it YCCs, youth community conversation, to where we're setting up in Los Angeles to hear from youth. And we're connected with the CBOs that support the youth, but it's not up to the adults to speak. And the Attorney General is not going to speak. He's going to make his statement, but he's there to listen. He's there to see how can he use his office, let alone his authority and his legislation, to help the youth have a better future. So that's in a nutshell what I do.
It sounds like extremely important work, very fulfilling. You love your job?
I don't.
I
I don't. I don't. However, I understand why I'm here in this
Mm,
position, and I understand the responsibility I have, and I do appreciate being in this position, and that this position is not just for me. It's a representative of who installed goodness in me to help me be where I am today. I do
mhm.
appreciate the career path that I'm on, hoping to get other formerly incarcerated human beings in positions like this, because I don't want to be the only one nor the last one.
Got it. Tracy.
Okay, Anthony. If I had a magic wand and could give you your dream job, what would it be?
My dream job would be the director of reentry of the California of the United States.
Of the United
Mm,
States.
Not just and not just a director, but just more so like getting men and women into positions to where you don't just have a job, you have a career, you have a 401k, you have these things to where, oh, I'm here this year, so let's evaluate you a year and a year and a half from there to see if you can grow into other positions. I want formerly incarcerated human beings in legislations more. I want us in offices that we're not supposed to be in. Because you cannot talk about incarceration without allowing us to have a voice or without allowing us to have a seat at the table.
mhm, mm,
So I want to put formerly incarcerated, and I wouldn't mind having a formerly incarcerated governor
mm.
in one state or another. That's just my thoughts.
Cool. Karen Silverman.
Yes. What do you think the difference was between when you first went before the parole board and then when they denied it, and then when you went the next time before the parole board and they accepted it? What sort of resources? What was the difference? Um, what really put you over the edge to get that approval?
COVID. I'm just being
That's
honest.
it.
So, well, the reason why I say that is because I'll never forget I had the worst commissioner you'll ever have in my first board hearing, Arthur Anderson. He was a cop from 1976. I knew his whole history. His first thing when I first got in the parole board was, did you see any hated African American gang members, even though he was an African American? This is proven throughout his facts, throughout his leniency of being a commissioner in the California board. Um, the first thing he said when I got in there was, do you know how many African Americans were murdered in Chicago, Illinois? And I'm like, in my mind, what the heck does that have to do with my crime? But I realized he was looking to see empathy from me, right? Because my lawyer knew who he was. Even at the end of the hearing, he made a statement, and this is where we challenged him on this. What got me back to board early, he said, I don't ever see you committing a crime again.
Mm,
However, I cannot let you go today. Exactly. Exactly. And in the second hearing, it was much more of a breeze through of the first one, and I believe COVID played a huge part
mm,
in me coming home. And I was one of the first people in San Quentin to start to clean cells in COVID. I was one of the main cleaners inside of San Quentin, because I was a janitor. So I was one of the main strike team forces to clean cells when COVID hit. So I believe that made a difference too.
mm.
That's awesome.
Neil,
Yeah. It actually begs the second
mm,
question, which is what sort of oversight is over that parole board? But that, I guess, is a question for another day.
None,
So,
none. There is none. The governor's office runs it. I mean,
wow.
they have an attorney and they go through hearings. They go through to review the board decisions, but I think it needs to be a civilian oversight, or not even a civilian, just an outside entity oversight,
Mhm.
but they'll never do that because each person is put there by the governor.
Yeah,
Mm.
got it. Thank
Karen,
you.
can you introduce yourself? I don't know that we've ever met before, and we're so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. My name is Karen Silverman. I was invited by Tracy, and I'm part of Skid Row Running Club too. And I'm thankful to be here. I visited San Quentin with the club, and I found it was very impactful. I've actually like binge listened to so many of the episodes of what is it, Ear Hustle?
Ear hustle, yes.
Yes. So obviously, it talks about so many different experiences that you wouldn't necessarily know about or understand or appreciate, and puts you really in their shoes. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you
Um,
for that.
And
yes.
Karen's
Thank you for
also an
introducing
attorney,
yourself.
and he has done a lot of work getting people's what is it?
Expungements.
Expungement.
Expungements.
Yes.
Well, and
Yes.
another personal area of interest, I actually wrote one of my final dissertation-like papers in law school on the school to prison pipeline and how vulnerable people, specifically like you, the story that you've told today, are in that situation that really uh, people prey upon, especially in gangs and such. So thank you for sharing this. You're very brave.
Oh, no
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, my daughter is as an attorney. I came out of UCLA, and she was there the year that they did jailhouse lawyering as one of their special issues of law review, where everything was written by people who were doing their own lawyering on the inside. Okay, Neil, you've got another question or comment?
Well, not really. I know at some point you're going to have everybody introduce themselves, but since Richard Miles is a major speaker and he has a very powerful organization, and I wanted to give, especially since I wanted to give him a little platform. I know this is really Anthony's talk, but I think it might help since we have a lot of people formerly incarcerated, and Richard's organization works with them. So I'm kind of
Sure,
putting
Richard, we'd love to
him
hear
on the
from you.
spot.
Yeah, this is not Anthony's talk. This is a community conversation. So let's
This is a
not do that.
community. Yeah, and
Uh,
really anyone who would like to introduce themselves, just who'd like to tell us who you are, why you're here, what your interest is. We're interested in that. And we also want to be cognizant of the time and end at 6 o'clock, which is about 8 minutes from now. But Richard, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you, Neil, for the invitation, and I will be back. I truly enjoyed the your journey, Mr. Anthony. And my name is Richard Miles. I was falsely imprisoned at the age of 19. I spent a total of 15 years in the Texas prison for a crime that I did not commit. I am one of the first non-DNA, no confession cases in the state of Texas. There's a law, the Richard Miles Act, is
Mm.
was brought about for police misconduct. I was also one of the CNN heroes, and I think I was with the Skid Row running gentleman. I think we was on the same thing. But I now run a nonprofit called Miles of Freedom, where we provide holistic reentry services for individuals, families, and communities impacted by incarceration. And so working with people returning home from prison, we have a food pantry and a lawn service that functions as a social business to put people back to work. So I just appreciate this evening. And Anthony, I just have two words that I oftentimes say: people reach redemption before they reach rehabilitation. And that's what we all go through in prison. We reach a form of redemption, but with the lack of resources, rehabilitation is a far shot. So thank you.
Richard, where is your reentry program? Is it in Texas?
Yes, we're located in Dallas, Texas, at the Martin Luther King Jr. Center in South Dallas, to be specific.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Who else would like to introduce themselves? Just let us know who you are. Any hands? Okay. Anthony, yeah, tell us more about yourself, please. The other
So my
Anthony.
so my name's Anthony Covert. I did 16 on 36 years at Washington State Penitentiary. I was incarcerated at 18 years old. I did my entire time at Washington State Penitentiary. Never got to transfer or anything like that because I was deemed too much of a threat to go anywhere. And I finally made it out after the governor, Jay Inslee, seen I was fit to come back into the community through the clemency process. And then now I'm out here 7 months later, still trying to figure out how to navigate this world. And I'm excited to see this. Rachel Kachek is the one that invited me to this. She couldn't be here today. She had another meeting. And so I'm looking to learn and grow with everybody here.
What do you find to be your biggest challenges being out just
Um,
7 months?
I think my biggest challenges right now is that trying to figure out who's really for me and who's really just trying to use me. Because I am currently in a place where a lot of people like to put our stories on the platform and then monopolize off of them and benefit off of them, but leave us in a very dark place, and it's kind of painful. People that you think are there for you really ain't there for you.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. Anybody else want to introduce themselves? Siobhan, it looks like you took yourself off mute. Do you want to introduce yourself? No, maybe I misunderstood. Anybody else?
I think he's trying to talk, but we can't hear him.
Oh, okay. We can't hear him.
I think so. Siobhan, are you trying? Yeah, take out your earbuds. Can't hear you.
No, I'm sorry. Anybody else would like to introduce themselves to the group? Okay. Yes, Jaime.
Yes. So my name is, and I did 8.5 on a 10-year prison sentence. I have 8 felonies for which I was given 10 years, which is insane. All I could say is, and I just thank God for everything He did for me prior to my incarceration, during my incarceration, and as I'm coming out. I think my biggest, to answer the question you asked, Mr. Colbert, what is the biggest,
Challenge.
the biggest, is the biggest part of coming out, the most difficult parts, I would say for me is I'm just having a hard time knowing where do I fit in at. Currently, right now, I'm taking a CDL course and I'm gonna start driving trucks, and I just feel like that's an industry that's very incarcerated people friendly. So and I am a part of PEP, the Prison Entrepreneurship Program, and I was invited through a PEP program, and I am here through them. So yeah, that's just been kind of I've tried a couple of different venues. I went to the warehouse. I went to a HVAC school. I didn't really feel like that was for me. With a CDL, I just got my CLP, my license, my permit, and I am about to start driving here pretty soon. So I think that's just been real challenging for me. But yeah, anybody else, I would just say don't be scared of fail at a couple of things and be able to change routes. If you had to pivot a couple of different times, go ahead and just till you find something that's where you feel comfortable.
You mentioned PEP. I know I've volunteered at Defy Ventures and Compassion Prison Project and Freedom to Choose. What other organizations are represented here? Anybody else want to let us know, where do you volunteer? We've heard of, yeah. Anthony?
So I work with an organization called the BPC on the inside, with the brothers on the inside, called the Black Prisoners Caucus. It's a 50-year-old organization that's been running it through Washington State. And so I'm out here trying to be a voice for them. They also got the BPC community group that's on the western side of the mountains. And so that's what I'm in support of.
Great, thank you.
Sorry,
Okay, yeah,
where are you located?
Washington State
Oh, thank you.
for Anthony. Yeah, okay, National Freedom and Justice Movement. Let's hear it. Tell us
Greetings
about it.
again, everyone. My name is Tahira Ali. I am with the National Freedom and Justice Movement. I cut my teeth, if you will, in the freedom movement, not by being an incarcerated person, but one of the people that incarcerated people reached out to on the outside with the Free Alabama movement, the Free Ohio movement, and several other entities that have come along since for about the past, it's been about 10 years now that I've been in this field, and I love it. I wanted to ask a quick question in general to the brothers that are on the call. Uh, I remember coming up, we had like these scared straight programs, right? They probably still have them in some places. And I've asked this of many of the people who have come to my organization for help, and that is, do you think if you had gone through one of those scared straight programs that it would have helped you? And if so, please tell me why. And if not, please tell me why. And I yield with that. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
I would love to answer that question. No.
Oh, no.
And the reason why it wouldn't have helped me, because at the end of the day, my home was still in chaos. So to care about me and not to care about the inside of my home is two different things.
Mhm.
What I needed was someone to care about me and to see me. Scaring me straight was not going to me, for me, put me on the right track.
Mhm.
Without my mother not being on the right track.
Mhm.
So I think it can't be just the child. A lot of times we have these organizations that just want to affect the child without having effect on the parent. Because if we're not listening to the child to see what the child needs, is no one is hearing that person. I always say I was speaking very loud. I was talking very, but I was not talking with verbally. I was talking with a lot of anger and violence, and no one saw it. No one heard it. So I think if I had someone to sit me and my mother down so we can both have that conversation and so she can hear me and actually listen, I think that would have made a difference. But to just have to scare me, no, that would have made it worse.
Very clear. Very clear. And I do want to acknowledge it's 6:02 p.m., so we're officially over. If anyone needs to leave, understand. It sounds like some people still want to stay around and chat. That's also fine. Kent, you have a question or comment or an
I have a
organization you want to talk about?
I have a comment that I did a 4 years in Terminal Island as federal, and there was not a single program offered, not a
Mm.
single program offered to support you in release or anything. So, and I don't know if this is true all the way through the federal system or not, but I just wanted people to be aware that any place you have a chance to program, to me, it just sounded great. It sounds great.
Okay, thanks, Kent. Paul, I noticed you put your organization in the chat. Do you want to just say a few words about what that organization is about and what they're working on?
Sure. Well, I'm an active member of the American Correctional Association, where I lead workshops on transforming prison culture, particularly around environmentally responsible and sustainability-oriented practices. And I'm also a member of the North American Association of Wardens and Superintendents, where I do similar programs. Then I'm the fundraising consultant for Golden Rule Reentry in Medford, Oregon, which is a trauma-informed organization that helps formerly incarcerated people get reconnected to community through kinship and connection. And I sit on the board and serve as the treasurer for Planting Justice in Oakland, California, which also employs formerly incarcerated people, transforming yards to food gardens and operating 3 commercial nurseries. So lots of fun stuff going on all those places.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Well, with that, I think we're out of time. Want to thank our speaker so much for sharing yourself and everyone else who shared their stories, their perspectives. Tracy for inviting our speaker, Neil, our president, and all of you who attended here. Those of you who are part of the Prison to Partnership team, we won't be meeting next week. In 2 weeks, we'll have our regular team meeting, which is not a speaker meeting, just a kind of an organizational type meeting. and we'll see you then. So thank you all for attending.
And I want to
All
put
righty.
something in, Judy. For people,
Sure.
so for people who want to stay, we will go on. If you need to go, but I'm certainly willing to go on for another 30 minutes, if that's okay, just to the because I know there's a lot of people that didn't get to speak and have more to say. I don't know if Siobhan, you got, I know I keep saying your name wrong, if you got your speaker working. I know Dana had her hand up, and I know Karen had her hand up at one point. So is that all right, Judy?
It's okay with me. You want to
Yeah.
do that? Sure.
Yeah, and the people, especially like Jonathan Chu, I want to know a little bit, if you don't mind. I know you don't have to speak up, but and Jamie, or I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name, but the people that are new, and Ryan, yeah, I'd just like to hear a little bit. But especially the people who had their hand up, if like Dana and Karen, if you still have something to say. This is a powerful group of people on this call. And
I wouldn't mind.
yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just heard the resources and the resource gap. I know I'm here in Southern California, but what I'm creating is in Long Beach. If anybody is in Long Beach, or if you know anybody who's looking for work and resources, I'm the executive director of the Long Beach Black Workers Center, and we're creating pathways for formerly incarcerated people and for Black people in Long Beach to have sustainable careers. And so if there's anything in that little blurb that catches your ear, Long Beach, California, you can reach out to me or Neil or however you got on this call. Okay.
I'm in Lakewood and I know a lot of people.
Okay.
Could you put your contact information in the chat maybe, Dana? Is that all right? Organization, or no, you're not comfortable with that?
I don't mind. I just have my hands full, but yes, I'll manage it to the chat in just a sec. Okay.
Yeah, and if people also, if you're new on the call, if you'd put your email, we could contact you in the future, invite you to other meetings. So before I call on, well, again, nobody has to speak. But did you want to say anything, Karen? I know you had your hand up for a minute. And I
I
don't know
think
if
you
Siobhan-
answered my question. I
Oh, Karen
guess.
Johnson. I think he means Karen Johnson.
Thank you. Sorry.
But you could ask
Yeah, it's
again.
okay.
And I don't know if Siobhan could speak now, but Karen, did you have your mic is
Oh,
not working? Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Sh- Sharon, is your mic working or no? No.
No, okay. All right.
So anything about the new people would care to
Jonathan
say?
is also at a nonprofit. Jonathan, are you willing to speak? You don't have to, but I would love to hear you.
Hi.
Oh,
Yeah, I work at a nonprofit. It's called Impact Justice. We're based out of Oakland, but we also have in Los Angeles and a DC office. Uh,
What do you do? What does the organization do, Jonathan?
oh, our organization deals directly with prisons and also reentry. We have a government contract to deal with the PRC program, which is the Prison Rape and Elimination Act. And it's a nationwide program that we train auditors to go into to prisons throughout the United States to make sure that they are following the protocols for that program. We also have a mentorship program for people who are formerly incarcerated. It's a year-long program that's sponsored by AmeriCorps. Then we also have a housing program. It's called the Homecoming Project, which basically is where we connect people who are coming out of prison. And for homeowners who have a spare bedroom, we pay the homeowner a stipend. And also the formerly incarcerated person, and they live together for about 6 months. Um, so it's a housing program that we effectively try to get it's getting out of the transitional housing program rather than like getting a community based sort of. We also have a program called Food in Prison where we work with currently CDCR, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, to bring more healthier food into the prisons. We also have a partnership with a prison in Maine where we bring a chef in to redo the basically using the existing food ingredients to but make it better tasting, I guess. So yeah, that's generally kind of what we do. Yeah.
That's a lot. Wow.
Jonathan
Thank
is
you.
also a marathoner and and
Um,
member of the Skid Row Running Club.
Wow.
Anyone else?
cool.
Ryan? Sorry, you can't get to talk, Seven.
I wanted to ask Jonathan if you collaborate with the John L. Howard Association in Illinois. I think they do a lot of shadowing of prison organizations also.
Not that I know of. I'm just an executive assistant, so I don't really deal with too many of the programs. I'm more of a, yeah, I do mostly more background and scheduling work. So,
No problem.
Hmm.
Okay, great. Anything else, Neil, that you wanted to?
Well, I want to know, I'm sorry, some people are not able to use their microphone. Ryan, are you able to say anything? And Patricia?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
tell us the award you're getting too, and tell us
Oh,
all the
hey.
things you're doing. Oh,
I'm
great.
sorry, y'all. I'm having technical difficulties. But on the 25th, PEP, Prison Entrepreneur, I graduated from them, and I was um I got released January 20th, 2021. And while I was out, basically, I worked on my character, I worked on credit, I worked on me. And I just decided to just stay plugged in and help the people who were coming after me from being incarcerated. Um, so basically volunteering, just making helping them just cope once they got out and dealing with certain things like anxiety and taking them to like classes and just helping them with like um just basically mentorship. But on the 25th of October, I'm receiving an alumni award just basically for volunteering and just being supportive of the guys who have come home
You mean
because
February?
February, I'm sorry, February 25th, sorry. But yeah.
Could you also tell people this huge risk you made? So you came out, so he came
Hmm.
out with PPP, the Prison Entrepreneurship Program. He had a great job. Tell us a little bit about that. And now he's taking a risk and he got the bank to give him, is it okay I'm sharing this? I'm gonna let
Yeah,
you
that's
take it
fine.
over. And he got the bank to give him a loan that he could actually
Hmm.
buy a second house. I mean, this guy's
Hmm.
on fire. Go ahead, take
Yeah,
it away.
yeah, thank y'all. So, yeah, I had a really good job in Texas. My main goal, I used to tell the guys, because I used to go inside the prisons after I was released and talk to the guys and tell them, I can't make you care about your daughter more than, or your kids more than I care about my child. So your change must take place. And so I had a good job in Dallas, getting paid over 70,000 a year. And but my daughter was more important to me. And so I came back to Arkansas and gave up everything basically for my child. And when I got down to Arkansas, no one would hire me. And basically when I was in Texas, like I said, I worked on my credit and I worked on my character. And so God has shown me a vision basically to create We Live to Serve housing, and that's just serving the underserved. And eventually I'm going to get it to where reentry is involved. But right now I'm just doing the best I can. I went to the bank and basically told them my plans, and they actually gave me like an $84,000 loan. Wow. I bought my first home, but then through my business, they gave me another loan of 84,000, which if you break down the numbers, that only left me like 14,000 to do a rehab to the house. And we all know that 14,000 isn't much, but I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm actually I'm at 11,000 right now, and I still have to do the floors and um I have flooring and I have flooring and something else, but like I said, we all know that's not enough. But I thank God just for that opportunity that the bank actually gave me business credit. Just in the business haven't been I only been having the business for like 2 months. So I am very fortunate and I am not stopping because I know it's a greater cause than just me. Um, and everybody that's in this chat believe in reentry and believe in purpose and that's why I'm here. Neil, I spoke to Neil multiple times. I really hate missing these meetings. Um, I try my best to attend them. But I know that uh we all have a purpose and I'm just happy to be here. I thank y'all for allowing me to share my story. But the name of my business is We Live to Serve Housing.
Thank you. How do you pronounce your name correctly?
Shevin.
Shevin. Yeah. So Shevin,
You're gonna get it.
I'm going to get it right. Right.
Yeah.
Shevin is being awarded the Alumni of the Year, And Shevin, how did you end up getting that job, making that kind of money?
Well, I basically just decided to just be honest, with the person who interviewed me. I told him, hey, I am a felon and but one thing you can expect from me is honesty and loyalty and you know and that took me doing just that, showing up on time. Um I was gonna tell Anthony, I know you're new out here, but one thing you will always have to do is learn to control your tongue. Learn to control your temper, your attitude, because there's gonna like things aren't
Speaking to
gonna all
Anthony Covert. Yeah, go ahead.
yes, uh-huh. I don't know if he's still on or not,
Yeah, he's
but
on.
He is.
yeah, learn to control your attitude and learn to control your temper and your tongue. We're gonna always have to be the bigger person in situations because you're gonna find situations that just not in your favor. And I think that's one thing that I've had to learn is like, you know, I'm a much better person when I can apologize one more time.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a much better person when I can ask for forgiveness just one more time. And so that's actually giving yourself a chance out here. And then it wouldn't matter who's for you because you'll be for yourself.
Right on.
I appreciate that, brother Ben.
That's
Absolutely.
Chevin. That's good,
Beautifully said.
That's good.
Mhm.
Good for you.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
It takes
Good
some
for all of us.
awareness and courage to really stand in being someone who can get along for the sake of getting along. And at the end of the day, you have the daughter at home. That's your mirror,
Absolutely.
right? Good.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Thank you. I think that was part of the whole initial plan is to know that my daughter is safe. Um, and every change that I did was for her, and she's here safe with me now, and I have her full custody of her.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really great. Thank you.
That's so good.
Thank you.
Well, anyone else? The last 5 minutes. I know we had Ryan. I thought he was going to say something, but unfortunately he's off the call because um how I got a question and for anybody to answer. Well, it's kind of a question Judy asked already, but maybe in a different or a different form. I'll ask it again. Like Anthony, what is Anthony Covert and well, everybody who's just got out, like and Anthony Ammons, you said it so wonderfully that volunteers, that people make a difference. That what do you need? I I have it that you need a job, but I think it's more than that. And that, so I'm throwing that out to all the people that have spent time. Like, what is it that you need or needed the most when you got out?
Man, I think that's a.
Go ahead, you're gonna take it?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Sean.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think one of the toughest things was thinking what I knew what I needed, and then getting out here and not really knowing what I needed,
Yeah.
because you have all these ideas of like what you want your life to be. I had all these ideas of like where I wanted to work, how I wanted things to go, and then I got out here and it was putting ain't nothing was ready like, or set up the way I thought it was gonna be. And so I think that's a hard question to know exactly what it is I was gonna need. Obviously stability, work, place stay, but there was so much other stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like I put off therapy for like the whole time. I just got a therapist, you know what I'm saying, to help me work through like what Chevin was saying, because it's hard for me to hold my tongue sometimes. That's been my biggest issue is just speaking my mind all the time. Because when I feel something's wrong, I just want to say it's wrong, and it's hurting me a lot. And so I think that was the biggest thing I could take away. That's what I needed right there when I first got out, was someone to tell me to just keep my mouth shut sometimes.
Mhm.
And that it gets better, And I think it's just things like that, what I'm saying? People that's been through it that have a tool or a pearl that they can drop you, man, that gives you a better understanding of what to do.
Thank you for coming on and sharing all that, Anthony. My heart goes out to you. I want to give
Mhm.
Anthony Ammons, well, let me hear Jamie first, or I'm saying your name wrong. But, and then maybe we could give Anthony the last word if he still could stay with us. Yeah, go ahead. How do you
Sure.
say your name again?
So my name is Jaime.
Jaime. Good. Jaime.
Yes, but I'll take Jamie. Jamie's fine.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
I just want to say something that helped me out a lot when I was incarcerated, and it's this quote that I read. It said, "Be who you needed when you were younger." During the time that just my adolescence, my teenager, even I just needed a positive male role model, and I just want to share that with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
You have that now?
Be what you needed.
Yes, sir. That's what I try to be for my son. I try to be that for all the people around me in my community, my family, my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just try to practice that every single day.
Yeah. Man.
Thank you.
Kind of
Anthony.
more like just learning to be intentional. Because I think when you learn to be intentional about things, I think that's when, opportunities actually start working for you. Because like I said, getting out, we have all these goals and ambition and like promises that we think that is like, that's gonna happen immediately. But there's things that, starting over, it takes time. Everything is a process. And so like if you have set goals for yourself, learn to start meeting those goals little by little. And then when you look back, you'll see the milestone that you have gotten to, you know. And I think that just takes just being intentional with yourself. I don't think it's something that someone can actually give you.
Thank you. I want to give Anthony Ammons the last few words.
Mhm.
And thank you so much for your talk, Anthony.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think the only thing I say is what on the lines of what you asked the question is, what do people need for me? What helped me? And I think every case is individualistic because each person needs something different. But I think what we all need is, and I could be completely wrong, support more than help. We
Right.
don't we don't want to hand out.
Right.
We want you to believe in us that we can create our own autonomy, that we can find our own agency with the help of support. Hey, do you know someone that knows someone that knows someone? I don't want you to go get no job interview for me. I want to talk to the people so I can get my own job interview and talk my way through it and learn through it. I think if we give the community support more than help, that is huge.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well said. Okay. That's it. Thank everybody for coming. Neil.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we do this once a month. And if you left your email, which I hope you did in the chat, we'll be able to contact you and let you know. And thanks, Brad.
The registration link you used for today is good also for the second Monday of March for the next speaker
But we'll
community
send them an
gathering
email.
we'll have.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks,
Thanks all of
Brad.
you.
Sorry you just came
Awesome.
on
Thank
late.
you.
Yeah,
Good
thank
night.
you, everybody.
Blessings, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Tracy.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
for on. Bye.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Good night,
Yes.
Brad.
Y'all take care.
How did you hear about the call, Brad? At the hour.
From my buddy Denny Doran.
All right.
Oh, Brad, you're here.
Yeah, and I
Brad.
forgot about the meeting and I saw it in the mail. Hey, Denny.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, great. I didn't know you were here. When did you get here?
Well, I got here about 10 minutes ago. I forgot all about this and saw it in my email.
I'm gonna stop the recording for sure, and then
You'll have to come next time, March, Brad.
What day in March?
See, what day is it, Neil?
it's the second Monday.
Oh,
10th,
second
March
Monday?
10th. March 10th.
March
March 10th.
March 10th.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank
All
y'all.
right, I'm gonna end the call.
Night, everybody.
Good
Have a
night.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.